Guards of the planet. I will share with you a story that carrying vision and seeds of hope to change the pattern and form of life on the planet. Once upon a time, humans had become a destructive force on the planet. They built their cities by cutting down the forests, polluted the air and water, and hunted animals to extinction. The animals and nature itself were suffering, and it seemed like there was no end to the destruction. The negative impact of this unjust behavior is not limited to humans but extends to all forms of life on the planet. All creatures suffer from the arrogance of those in power. Animals and plants are mistreated, and the earth and sky are poisoned by pesticides, fertilizers, and nuclear tests. The extraction of minerals, oil, and all forms of wealth is carried out recklessly and destructively, leading to the destruction of ecosystems and the loss of life. The powerful nations continue to exploit the weaker ones for their own selfish gain. And corporations were allowed to plunder resources and stir up conflicts without consequence. The planet suffered under the weight of human arrogance, as animals and plants were mistreated, and the environment was poisoned. Human beings had created a system that perpetuated exploitation, inequality, racism, and corruption. The powerful countries of the world were exploiting weaker nations, using their resources and wealth to fuel their own greed and gain. The arms race was consuming 90% of human capabilities and potential, and scientific research was being harnessed to serve defense and security institutions. The humans determined the current way of life on the planet. Through a global economic system that subjugates political and religious systems to serve the interests of the few. The value of life has been reduced to material worth. With the lives of pets and collectibles in wealthy nations given more importance than the lives of humans in poorer regions. Even the freedom of an animal is considered equal to price of ticket to the zoo. The Earth's resources are being wasted to make a profit. Ships have been seen throwing food or extra resource into the sea to avoid decreasing prices. While famine kills people and animals, the Earth's wealth is being extracted in a way that destroys the vital and ecosystems of the planet. Pollutes the seas with oil and kills marine life. Rivers are being polluted with chemicals, carbon dioxide is being pumped into the sky with so many chemical gases, as the chemtrail. Even adapted new communication technologies are affecting the composition of the DNA. Capital slavery has spread, and money tycoons own scientific research centers and control their financing, and they own banks and media institutions. Class differences have increased. People were revolting against the systems that oppressed them. But the existing systems were failing to bring about any meaningful change. The worldwide suppression of these popular uprisings was swift and severe. Despite the United Nations agreements and efforts toward upholding human and animal rights, they have not been fully implemented, or they appeared with double standards that served the colonial countries and did not harm their interests. As what happened in the wars of Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, and Syria, or the massacres in Africa sponsored by foreign intelligence. The more powerful and decision-making countries exploit the weaker ones without hesitation, even going so far as to destroy them for their gains. Large corporations have also taken up the responsibility of looting wealth and resources from developing countries, with the approval and support of their governments, and fueling conflicts to control them. They even provide facilities and licenses to mercenary armies. The ruling regimes, in cooperation with religious institutions, have entrenched the idea of human separation from the earth and other creatures, leading to the belief that everything is subject to human sovereignty. This way of thinking has allowed those in power to justify their exploitation and oppression of other races and countries. Humanity has limited the meaning of life to the acquisition of power and wealth, regardless of the methods used or the harm caused to other life forms. But during this darkness, a small group of individuals emerged with a new vision for the world. They recognize the interdependence of all beings and the urgent need for change. Group of individuals who started this movement did not seek power or fame. They were simply people who understood the interconnectedness of all life on the planet and wanted to create a better future for all beings. They become the guards of the earth, and their message was one of hope and unity. They draw inspiration from the wisdom of ancient traditions and the insights of modern science. They understand that old ways of thinking and behaving must be replaced by a new paradigm of cooperation, compassion, and sustainability. They work to educate themselves and others about the importance of living in harmony with the land. And have challenged the power structures responsible for the world's problems. They came from all corners of the world, speaking different languages and belonging to different cultures. But they shared a common vision, a world where all beings lived in harmony and peace. They became more aware of the energy field which connects all forms of existence together. They knew that humans were not the masters of the earth, but mere caretakers. They believed that the earth was a living being, and that every tree, every river, every animal was a precious part of it. So they began to spread their message, using the power of words and images. They wrote poems that celebrated the beauty of nature, painted murals that depicted the interconnectedness of all things. Also shared stories of people who had found ways to live in harmony with the land. They used social media to connect with people around the world, sharing their message in different languages and using art and music to break down cultural barriers. They organized festivals, workshops, and rallies, bringing people together to share ideas and learn from one another. The message was simple: the sacred exists in everything, and it is not allowed to oppress or mistreat any being. This idea resonated with people all over the world, and slowly but surely, their message began to spread. They built alliances with other movements, such as indigenous rights, animal welfare, human rights and environmental protection. They were no longer alone, but part of a global movement for change. They reached out to the animals, trees, and river, asking for their help. To their surprise, the animals and nature were willing to join and support that vision. Together, they organized a revolt against that system. The trees and river provided a lot of information, shelter, food and water, while the animals shared and used their intelligence and strength with humans to spread the message. People started to see the world in a new way as a precious being that needed to be protected and cherished. They began to understand that the earth was not a resource to be exploited, but a partner to be respected. Their efforts did not go unnoticed. Slowly but surely, their message began to spread, and more people started to join their cause. As the snow melted and the first signs of spring appeared, the world was still far from perfect. But the seeds of a new way of being had been planted. With belief that we can create our reality, people lived in more harmony with the land, respecting its rhythms and cycles. They celebrated the diversity of life and worked together to ensure that every being had a place under the sun. Years went by and the earth thrived under this new system. The animals, trees, and river were happy, and humans felt a sense of purpose and fulfillment they had never experienced before. They knew that they had made the right choice in organizing the revolt and replacing the old system with a new one that protected and saved all life on Earth. What happens in this dimension, reflected on other dimensions.